Okay, so we got my boy Will here today. What's up, everybody? It's your boy John, and we're over here at Overcomer Academy Studios. We slapped something together real quick last minute. We have my boy Will here. He actually came in here last minute just to pick up some last minute items so he can perform this new project that he got. He actually just closed the deal, and luckily, him being part of the academy, he's such a he's so close. He lives very close. I live in Orange County, and he lives in like the city right over what is it, 20, 30 minutes away or something like that?
About 25 minutes or so.
25 minutes or so. And so we actually knew each other back in the day too, but that's another story. But he's been kind of looking into this, and so I was like, you know what? Let's get him on camera. Let's talk to him a little bit. So here we are. So this is real casual, man.
Yeah, man. It's going
how
good.
You doing, man?
Living good, man. Loving it.
Loving life?
Doing good.
That's sweet, dude. So let's talk a little bit, man. I mean, 10 years ago, what were you doing 10 years ago, bro?
Thinking I was starting my journey into the business world.
Okay.
Then I got into sales.
Okay.
And then going to sales took me into a wireless.
10 years ago, though, you said you thought you were starting in the business world. What were you doing?
Well, I started doing sales. So I was, at that time, I was buying from companies like Overstocks and stuff like JCPenney, Sears, and all that.
Oh, okay.
And we were taking that, and I started working for a little company, and I thought I was the best salesman ever because I was taking these things and then flipping them over and, you know, getting people to buy it. And I was just like, hey, man, I'm climbing this ladder. I'm walking into the sales world.
Yeah.
So I started the journey of a salesperson.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of how it starts, right? It's it's like your first taste of business is kind of like, shit, I'm gonna learn sales, and then you're like, okay, sales, where does that go from here? And so, how have you liked sales so far? Like working in the sales industry?
It has its up and downs. It's always a roller coaster. You know, there's days where you're making a ton of money. You're thinking, this is great, man. I'm gonna make a living off of this. And there's other days where it's stressful. It's just like, man, how am I gonna make a living out of this? So it's always those roller coasters, and it's been nonstop.
Right. So, me and you knew each other a little while back, and you know, we both worked for the wireless industry for a little while, and I think I kind of went my own path where I started my entrepreneur journey, where I started businesses and I started doing stuff like that. What was going through your mind over probably the last 5 years? Were you content kind of staying in the sales industry? I mean, me personally, I'll say real quick, when I worked for the wireless industry, I loved it, dude. Like, I had fun. I mean, I was selling stuff, making money. I mean, all that Kool-Aid they have you drink, like, you're the man, dude. You fucking killed it. Your President's Club, like in Cancun. Like, yeah. I mean, I had a good time, dude. And going into entrepreneurship, like, fuck, with no employees, nobody around, like, by myself, like, dude, that was a huge change. And so, I mean, for you personally, I mean, how do you feel about the sales industry and stuff?
Well, like I said, man, it goes up and down. There's always a roller coaster. And, you know, there's those times, like you said, that are just so fun. You're making a ton of money, and it's just like you feel like the man. Like, I got this. I can do it all. And making great money. And like I said, there's those moments where it's not. But after so long of doing the same thing and getting comfortable in the same position, and then seeing advancements other places, you feel stuck. And that's why you start getting to the point where it's just like you need to get unstuck. And how do we do that? How do we get from being stuck and getting out of that when you're glued into something, you know? So that's always been the dilemma the past 5 years. So after leaving one big company to another big company, and you're thinking, okay, this is probably going to be it. I found another one. I'm really good at this. I have the experience for this. I'm going to knock it out the park. 2-3 years later, you realize you're back at that same position where you feel stuck again. So it's just like, it's a nonstop roller coaster to where it becomes the point where it's just like, you need to make a move. You got to get out of it.
Oh, okay. So it's either like keep getting comfortable or do something about it now.
Do something about it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so have you ever thought in your head before, like, I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to be a business owner or entrepreneur? Has that ever crossed your mind before?
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, if it doesn't cross your mind, it's like, you don't got it in you. You know, it's always crossed minds. It always has. But there's always that fear of like, maybe I can't do it, or if I can do it, I don't know how to do it. So where do I start? And there's always that. And there's the thought like, hey, I have a great idea. I'm going to start doing it. And something always comes up or work comes up. And then you put it on the back burner until it gets so far behind where you realize that you're stuck again.
Shit.
You know, so it's just like, how do we get there? How do I pull myself out and just take that idea and take off?
So it sounds like maybe for a little while, like you've been working in sales, you've been doing your job, you've been doing what you're supposed to do, and you're like, man, I want to start a business or I want to get into entrepreneurship, but I'm stuck, right? And so what was that moment where you started to think to yourself like, you know what, maybe I can actually do this. Like maybe I can actually start a business, get into business, do something, whether it's with my hands or selling something online. When did that start to begin where you're like, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can start a business.
Well, it was the past couple of years, you know, thinking about it and game planning and all that. And then honestly, it was just, you know, talking to you and then seeing your videos on how you can start this and, you know, pivoting around things. And then pandemic hits. And then pandemic hits and we think, okay, what do we do now? You know, some people, you know, create something in this time, or some people just sit back and take checks from the government thinking that everything's going to be gravy in a few months, you know. So how do we pivot around that? And then hearing you saying it's like, this is the time to just pivot. It's now that time where it's like you take that fear and you put the fear now on the back burner and say, okay, well, I'm just going to try it and we're going to see what happens. And if all else fails, I'm going to be back here where I started, stuck. So there's nothing to lose. Right?
That's powerful. So it sounds like you kind of started digging into some of my content. You started seeing some of it. Maybe it was on Instagram or YouTube, whatever. You saw some of it and you're like, damn, if John's doing this stuff, like, you know, I want to be involved with something like this or do something, right? And when did that moment come? Like, was there a piece of content or was there something that clicked with you or registered with you where you're like, you know what, like, I think I need to hit up John? Or how did that work out where you're like, you know what, I think I want to start a business, I just don't know how, and you started looking into information, you started digging into other people's content and everything, but what made you pick up the phone and say, you know what, I got to do something about this?
It was really just that. It was the fact that I was just constantly seeing your content on Instagram, and then I would see it on YouTube. And then, as a matter of fact, I started seeing some of your ads coming up on YouTube, and I was like, dude, John's doing it. And it's just like, you know, he had the courage to do it, and why don't I? Like, I have to overcome that fear. So at that moment, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to start looking into something that I can do with my hands or I can do with my sales skills. And start doing research and everything. At that point, even that starts becoming a circle, and then you're stuck for months till it's finally like, you know what? Go to the source. You know, just go straight to the source. Like, why go through the middleman? Why look for answers when the answer's right there? So at that point, it's just like, you know what? Called you up and said, John, this is where I'm at, man. I'm stuck. Help me get unstuck.
Yeah. I remember that conversation. So you called me and you pretty much were like, dude, me and you talked actually a few months prior to that, and we talked about you kind of like starting something or getting involved with something. And I remember you were excited and like you wanted to go, and you know, all of a sudden you just went dark. You know what I'm saying? You just disappeared, right? Yeah. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't take it personal, to be honest, because starting a business and doing something like that it's a big deal. You know, it's a big deal, especially when you have a family, you have kids. I mean, taking any sort of financial risk or doing anything like that is a big deal, right?
Exactly.
So when you hit me up and we had that conversation and you said, you know what, dude, like, I want to get into like surface cleaning, I want to do something like that. What made that click in your head? Like, because you mentioned something right now. You said you watched my content, you're like, dude, I got to do what John's doing. That looks awesome, right? But it sounds like, because like we teach a lot on like large commercial contracts in the service industry, like getting bigger jobs, doing stuff like that. You took this route and said, you know what, I want to get involved, but maybe I got to figure out what can I do. Right. So what was that? Talk about that a little bit.
So initially, you know, when I first started thinking into like what ideas can I do, what can I do that is around what John's doing or something that I can at least feed off of. And then I first started thinking like, you know, I'll go on YouTube, I'll look up things that I can do. What do I have at home, or what can I purchase maybe in my budget? Because again, at the moment, I'm working a full-time job. You know, I'm working full-time job. As you said, I have a family. I'm already limited on time as it is. And because of that, I only have certain things, certain resources, right? So I start saying, okay, maybe, I can do surface cleaning.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, you know what, I'm going to try it out. So I'm sitting at my work, and I'm just like, man, look at this. It's all dirty, and it just starts hitting. Like, if I can do that, I can do it here. And then John's always talking about, big commercial, and maybe I can start residential, and I can start. So ideas start turning, and I'm just like, you know what, stop. Let me just call John, and we're going to talk about it. And that's when I called you, and then the conversation was a whole entirely different conversation versus like, hey, I don't know, I don't have an idea yet, but what do I do? And then the darkness comes because, again, work comes in, and then it's just like, maybe it's not my time, and the fear comes in, and it's just like, I got to hold off. And then fast forward a few months later, it's just like, no, put that away, and let's just start with the service. Let's just take one idea, like you said, and build off of it.
Yeah, I remember now, actually, you were mentioning me, you were like, hey, dude, like, I got this idea, I want to do this, but I got this pressure washer I want to go buy, and
right.
I want to go do, like, should I go buy this stuff? Should I get started tomorrow? Like, but I got a job, and like, you were lost. Having anxiety in a way, a little bit lost, right? And I think all I told you was, dude, don't worry about it. Just commit first, figure it out later.
Right.
Let's just do it,
right?
Right? And I think I gave you a little bit of guidance on a business idea that you could probably start, right? Mm-hmm. Something that was simple, easy. You didn't need any equipment. You didn't need nothing. What happened after that?
Oh, man. I tell you, I'm here. It took off. So it funny. It's coming with one idea after an hour or so conversation with you. Now it just like opened my mind to just like, whoa, hold on. I can go here and do this and do that. And just like I took that anxiety down a bit and said, all right, let's start there. Let's take that guidance and let's go. So that's why I thank you for it, because I was like, dude, that little talk right there changed it all. Because I was walking into something again with no experience thinking, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah. And
because of your guidance, I pumped the brakes on that, kind of pivoted around it in a sense where it made sense for not only the customers, but for myself. And dude, again, working a full-time job, not having time, having a family, I was still able to bring in $500 the first week, $500 the next week. Mm-hmm. Now I am about a month later, about to bag another $1,000 customer. Mm-hmm. So it's growing, it's going, and now I see the potential. And now, again, working a full-time job, not having the time per se like others, but it's taking off, man.
Because you're working 5 days a week, and so
sorry to cut you off. I'm so sorry. This week alone, like we talked, I worked 8 days straight at work.
Oh shit!
Without a day off.
At your job?
Yeah, at my job, and here I am, the first day off that I've had in 8 days.
Oh wow!
But here we are, game planning and pivoting, and still taking that next customer.
And that's what it takes, man. It sounds like that's what it's going to take, especially if you already have a job and you're having to commit all that time and energy to them. The little time that you do have, you're going to have to probably put it towards your idea, your side hustle. Yes. And so getting the side hustle started and now it's going, you were able to make about $500 extra a week. So it was about $2,000 extra a month on top of your job. And this week you were able to bring in $1,000 deal with one customer.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. So you got $2,000 a month, and then if you could bring in one of those customers a week, that's an extra $1,000 a week. Mm-hmm. Man, that's just off one customer. That's pretty incredible. Right. So what's the plans from here, man? I mean, where do we go from here? Like right now, you're working a part-time job. I mean, you're working a full-time job. You're doing a part-time side hustle. What's the plans for Will next?
Originally the plan was do this as a side hustle.
Yeah.
My main thing is here, where I've been comfortable, where I have benefits, where I have a steady income, and this is something that I'm doing on the side to fulfill my own passion, my own goals, and just side money, which feels fantastic. You get a sense of confidence. It's just a whole other level. But now, again, pivoting and thinking where this is going, it makes more sense, right? So now it's like the mentality switches to like, this is now the main thing. This is where I have to start taking my life towards, because it's bringing in better income, better results. I'm seeing it now. And now, like I said earlier, all these things are connecting because of just this guidance, just because of this movement that I made. So it's like, if that slight little move has made this impact, what is it going to do when I'm able to just go in full time?
Sure.
So that's where the mentality is at. And I know some would say it's premature, but it's just like, dude, it's there. The numbers don't lie. The numbers are there.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, I think you're going down the right track, and I think the biggest thing that you've done is you've taken action. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, none of this is possible unless you took the action. And so anyone out there that's like on the fence, right? And they want to start a business. They want to start a business. Two things. How much does it matter? Really, does it matter like what the business idea is? Because I know so many people that want to start a business, but they're so caught up on the details of what the business is, right? They're like, oh, it's got to be something I'm passionate about. Like, I got to love it. Like, I like Ninja Turtles, so I got to be involved with Ninja Turtles, right? So then they never start a business. And so here's someone like you. I taught you how to build a solar panel cleaning business. That's what you're doing, right? And that's so like off the wall, right? But it's a business that works. It brings in money, and it's scalable, and it's practical, right? And so anyone that's on the fence out there that's like, I want to start a business, or maybe I want to work with John and Overcomer Academy and get started with my first business, or even help with my current business, right? Because me and you aren't working together on large commercial contracts yet. You know, we'll probably get there, but we're working here now. And so there's a lot of people out there that are kind of like trying to figure it out, you know? What would you have to say to them?
Right, and that was, again, going back to what I said, that's one of the reasons that I was stuck so much, because it's like, what idea? What idea do I present to John to help me build off of? What idea do I go off of? What am I passionate about? Like, what do I do? So, you know, the fact that, like you said, I'm doing solar panel cleaning off the wall, I fast forward or backtrack a year, I wouldn't have thought that I would be up on roofs cleaning solar panels. That's something I've never done.
Yeah.
You know, and then after that conversation that I had with you, it's like, I'm going to do solar cleaning. Surface cleaning.
Surface cleaning, yeah.
And then from then, it's just like, well, let's pivot. Let's work towards that, you know. It wasn't the idea that I was genuinely going with. I had no passion behind it. I had, you know, realistically, I had no idea what I was doing. But building off of that, you learn it. And then you see, you end up getting the passion. You end up getting everything you need.
Sure.
Because you see that coming. You see lines connecting. You see everything coming together.
So would you say that the passion has come now that you're seeing some results and
definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely, man. Like I'm waking up and I'm thinking, all right, dude, what else do I need? I need to go out there. I need to get this. My mindset is totally different. You know, now it's just like I could research and learn everything about this because I want to succeed in it. I want to exceed it. I want to get a little bit higher. So my mentality, like I said, I'm switching it now to where this is just a side thing. It's just like this could blow up.
Yeah.
You know, and so how do I get it to blow up?
Yeah, and that's where we're gonna go, right?
Right.
So man, that's a great story, dude. Because I think a lot of people are gonna resonate with the same story that you kind of dealt with. Because I mean, everything from trying to pick the idea to being fearful to start to the success brings the passion more than the passion brings success, right? I think people are gonna register with this really, really well. So thank you, man. And is there anything that you want to say or anything that you're...
Honestly, like I've said before, man, thank you and the Overcomer Academy, dude. It's been a life-changing experience for sure. And again, still working a full-time job, only a month in. The results have been incredible. Like I've already made an impact in my personal life to my work life, and it's just been a month. Like I'm kind of upset at myself for not starting it back then when you and I first talked about it. And then, like you said, I went dark because, again, I didn't know where I was going with this. And sadly, I waited till now. But no looking back, man. This is where we're at. A month later, I'm looking at the next thing. Like, how do we keep going? How do we keep climbing? So thank you.
No, dude.
Honestly, thank you.
Thank you, dude. Like, honestly, just doing the work, bro. So we appreciate you.
It's been great.
There you have it, guys. You have a ordinary gentleman here that, you know, is just another guy, man. Just another guy, just like me, an ordinary person. I mean, I personally didn't even graduate high school. I mean, I didn't even go to college. I didn't do any of those things. And you got an ordinary guy here that just woke up one day and said, you know what? I think I want to give this thing a shot. And here he is. So, till next time, the next episode, this is Will, John. We'll see you next time.